Hi friends, how are ya? Welcome back to my channel for a video all about the digital nomad life. If you are new here, I have been on this little adventure being somewhat of a digital nomad for the last three and a half months, and it is now coming to an end. I'm about to go move back into an apartment. So I kind of wanted to summarize my thoughts of my experiences of the pros and the cons of packing up your stuff, putting it in storage, and just traveling around for a while. This will be very specific to me and my experiences and my job, but hopefully there's some universal takeaway points if it's something you're considering. Also, would just like to call out the fact that this is my second video like this. I rented a space to film video since I don't have a home right now, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous space right on a busy road. So I don't know how audio is gonna be, so sorry in advance if you hear some traffic going by, but let's go ahead and get into the video. I wanna start with literally just reading you the definition of what dictionary.com says is a digital nomad, because I thought it was funny. When I started this on my channel, I vlog my everyday almost, and a lot of people were like, you're not doing a nomad life. You're staying in homes. You're bringing your stuff. And I don't know if there's a conception that in order to do a nomad life, you have to be doing van life or super minimalistic life. That's not what I did. I packed up my car pretty fully, brought a lot of stuff, including my dog, and am staying in Airbnbs mostly, to where I have actual full apartments for myself for as little as 4 days, or for as long as I think 34 days is my longest stay. So let me just read you the definition of what a digital nomad is. And it is a person who earns a living working online in various locations of their choosing, rather than a fixed business location. And I feel like a lot more people have this opportunity post-COVID, since so many jobs were moved to remote and just kind of never went back. So I think that there's been a huge influx of this. Or if you're a self-employed person like me, perhaps your business is one that you can do remotely online from anywhere. And if that's the case, if you have a way to make income from various locations, then you could totally do this. So let's start with the pros. If you do it right, you can save money sometimes, kind of. I was living in a spot in Austin that was pretty expensive. I wanted to go month to month, and they were gonna raise my rent to go month to month immensely, to literally $4,000 a month for my one-bedroom apartment, which is ridiculous. And I said, okay, I'm gonna just try to find spots that come out to cheaper than that a month on Airbnb. And so that's what I did. I broke that down to what would it be nightly, and I tried to book spots that were cheaper than that a night, because essentially I would be saving money in that situation. Also, it was a goal of mine to travel a lot, and my mentality towards this is I was saving money traveling, because traditionally when you travel, you're still paying rent for your home while also booking hotels or Airbnbs wherever you want to travel. And if you fly somewhere, you have to book a rental car. If you have a dog like me, you have to pay for a dog sitter. All these sort of expenses are totally taken away if you don't have an apartment and you drive to where you're going and you bring your dog with you and you're not paying rent back home. So in that sense, I was double saving money because I wanted to travel anyways. So that's kind of how that worked out. But we're gonna talk about some unexpected expenses in the cons section. So hold your horses there. I just wanna give a little side tip too about saving money. If you're doing something similar to me and you're wanting to do Airbnbs, a lot of times Airbnb hosts will offer discounts if you stay longer than a certain number of days. So the spot that I'm in currently, actually, I first booked it for 28 days. And then I extended it, and for an additional week, the discount kicked in and they refunded me over $100. So that's just something else. If you're trying to save money, is stay spots for longer. The second pro that I found is that you're not tied to any sort of long-term decision. Oftentimes, if you move into an apartment, leases are 12, 14 months. And if you go month to month, it is way more expensive. Or obviously, if you buy something, you're pretty tied down until you sell it, which is a big and expensive process anyways. So it's nice to kind of have that stress taken off your shoulders if you're in a transitionary time or phase Maybe you're job hunting. Maybe you don't know where you're gonna end up. You don't have to sign a lease and feel tied to it. You kind of hop around for a minute, see where life takes you, and then settle down, which is what I did. I thought I wanted to buy a house. I was waiting for that. The market changed. I decided never mind, and I'm glad that I didn't rush into buying something, because apparently the Austin market is about to, according to Goldman Sachs. I didn't make that up, so we'll see. A third benefit that I found is you're able to spend time in different spots to see what you like if you are trying to figure out where you want to settle eventually. And like, of course, that could mean different cities. If you're wanting to figure out where to plant roots, you can go from Seattle to New York and explore everything in between. But even just Austin, for me, I stayed in a couple different neighborhoods between my trips, and it was nice to see like, what would life be over on the east side? What would life be down on the south side, and kind of get a feel for the different neighborhoods a lot more intricately by getting to spend a lot of time there, and then just have more clarity on where you want to settle down later. A fourth thing that I thought was an interesting perk is you get super familiar what your favorite and most essential items are, and you quickly find out what the less essential things are. So like I said, I didn't do this minimally on purpose. Like, my job is YouTube, I need to bring a lot of things with me, and I overpacked on purpose. But after about a month or two, I was able to see, okay, I'm not really using these things as much, and put them back into storage. And it just gives you clarity on the essential things in life, which is kind of just a nice little reset button, and being able to really appreciate what you have that you use and you like, and it gives me more clarity moving forward on purchasing items. Another benefit is if you have friends and family that are kind of dispersed across a state or the United States, or maybe even different countries, you can intentionally make time to spend like a whole week in their area and really get quality time with them. And that's been really cool. I'm in a long distance relationship, so I'm currently in my boyfriend's city for a month, and that's been really awesome to get to experience real life with him. Or for me, I had family in New Orleans, so I went to New Orleans for a week and was able to see them that I haven't seen in years. So it's like a very unique opportunity to get to kind of plan your travels around the people you want to see. And lastly, if you're kind of traveling around from spot to spot, it really encourages you to make the most of the time you have there and get out and explore and adventure. I know for a fact that when I'm living in a city, like when I lived in Los Angeles, I would hardly get out. I spent like 2 years without driving to the beach. You just take it for granted when you live there, but when you travel somewhere and you say, oh, I only have 2 weeks here, something about that mindset feels different to me. And I want to do the hikes, I want to go on the adventures, I want to go to the beach, I want to take advantage of those things while I'm there. And it just makes you a more adventurous person, I think. Those were the biggest pros that I saw in my life, but let's get into the cons, because I do feel like there were quite a few. For working, there is so much you cannot assure about the spaces you'll be staying in. If you're staying in a hotel, an Airbnb, a Sonder, whatever, you don't actually know what it's like most of the time until you get there. So you cannot assure things like light, you cannot assure things like Wi-Fi connection, you cannot assure noise, sound, if it's on a noisy street, if there's noisy neighbors next door. A lot of those things are very important to me, both for my work, obviously having light and a clean background and a quiet space. I booked one apartment for over 3 weeks in Austin, and I got there, and just the way it was oriented, it got no light. It felt like I was in a cave, and I just it was the winter. I just felt that like seasonal depression creeping in, and I literally broke it. I got out of it and moved somewhere else because I was like, I need light if I'm gonna feel motivation. And that's just something you don't know till you're there. Normally, if you're moving into an apartment or buying a house, most of the time you tour it ahead of time so you know what all of those conditions are. You set up your own Wi-Fi, you do that sort of stuff. So that's been a big challenge for me. Next, if your car needs work, it's just a lot harder. I had to take my car into the shop, and just thinking through like unpacking it all and how long is it gonna be there? This is my only really mode of transportation. All of that was really stressful, not having like your normal dealership or car repair people nearby. That was just something that popped up that I realized this is more stressful in a nomad life situation than in regular life. But we got through it. There are a lot of unexpected expenses when you're hopping from place to place. For example, you show up to a house and there's things that the house doesn't have that you need, like maybe trash bags and dish soap and toilet paper and hand soap. I don't know, things of the sort. I just saw my boyfriend drive by. At least what I've noticed is, oh, I'm not gonna buy the large version. I'll just buy the small one, which is a lot more expensive per use, and then I don't want to take it with me, so I'll leave the last little bit there and I'll go to the next space and I won't have it either and I'll have to rebuy it, blah, 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 blah. You don't have your whole life with you and you don't have things in cabinets stored away for when you need them. So if you ever need something, you gotta go buy it. And that has just kind of added up more than I've realized. This is a personal problem, but in terms of expenses, when you're somewhere new, the desire to eat out is so heightened for several reasons. It is harder to cook in the spots you're staying because you don't have all your own stuff. The spot I'm staying right now does not have a cutting board. It has one little wood butcher block and that is it. And it's just frankly more difficult to cook without a cutting board. I'm a foodie. My biggest joy in life is trying new restaurants, is eating out. Oh, it brings me so much joy. And when I'm in a new city, I want to try every place. And so I find myself eating out so much more, which is less healthy and far more expensive. And I need to break that habit as soon as I settle back into an apartment, because it has seriously been like half the nights a week I am eating out. And that's added up so much. Another possible con is if you have a pet, it can be a lot of change for them. My dog has thankfully chilled out a ton and is just like very go with the flow. And I think he's actually kind of enjoyed it. He loves car rides and he has loved that. But I will say that there's a man just making eye contact with me. Hello. My dog a couple years ago, I don't think he would have been like mentally in a space to do something like this. He was a rescue and he needed stability. I wouldn't have done this if I didn't feel this growth in him, but it's just something to consider. If you're bringing pets with you, it affects their life as well. So it's just added logistics. Also, if you're gone for a while and you have a pet and you don't have like your family, your neighbors, whatever to help you, that's just more to think through. I have to like hire dog walkers to take out my dog if I'm gone for more than 5 hours or whatever that is. That's more expense as well. And lastly, the last big con for me as probably a female is just there's a bit more of a safety concern. You know, you're staying in spots that you don't have your community, you don't have maybe your security cameras or whatever that is. I'm in an Airbnb right now that has a lock code that I know a lot of people know. And when I give it to the dog walkers, now they have it. Things like that. It just feels less safe, but it's kind of out of your control. And maybe you're staying in different areas or cities that you're not as familiar and you're just, you know, it's obvious when people aren't from around a certain area. Makes you a bit more of a target. And that's just something that's kind of always in my mind as well. So I definitely feel a little less safe, not enough to where it like makes me want to not do this, but just something to keep in mind as well. So those are my big pros and cons. My takeaway is I'm really glad I did this experiment of traveling around for a bit. I am glad I did this at this phase of life because I know one day I will have kids. I will have a whole different phase and it won't be as accessible to do something like this. I was able to see friends and family. I was able to go to new spots and I don't think I spent any more money. I probably just about broke even to staying in Austin, but I had a lot of experiences and clarity on where I wanted to spend the next year, which is back in Austin, but even down to the neighborhood that I wanted to stay in. I am glad for it to be over because personally I am a homebody and it has been a little more logistically challenging for work for me, just figuring out the new filming angles and best lighting and quiet times and new spaces all the time. I personally have a big hobby of making homes cute and homey, so I'm excited to get back to those kind of more homemaker-y kind of activities that I love. So those are my personal experiences. Hopefully it helps bring you some clarity if you're kind of considering trying this out. And I would love to know your thoughts in the comments down below if you have done something similar to this. Anything I missed? Let's make a little resource in the comments for people wanting to try something like this. Okay, I love y'all. Thank you for being here and spending this time with me. I hope you have the best rest of your day and I will see you in a video very soon.
So let's take all night, all night, all night, all night.